Let's talk about self-sabotage. For all my high-performing female entrepreneurs, including myself, this is something that many of us are very familiar with. At least we've encountered it once in our career. Self-sabotage is something that I wish upon no one, yet it's this conflict between our conscious and subconscious mind, and I'm here to tell you all about it. If we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Celia Corbo. I am a functional health practitioner, a licensed chiropractor, and an entrepreneur, and I'm here to help you learn how to live your best quality of life. I was reading this book by Brianna Wiest or Wiest. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Brianna. It's called The Mountain Is You. It is a very well-known self-help book, and it was like reading this book that was made for me. When I was reading, I found it to be a bit of a difficult read because I felt like she was talking right to me through her words on the page, that it was a bit tough. And I had to really look inside my own habits and really acknowledge that I do a lot of these things. And that's why I wanted to create this video, because maybe it might spark some awareness within you that you are also self-sabotaging and you don't even know it. So, what I want to talk about are Brianna's 17 characteristics that you are self sabotaging. And I also want to share them from my perspective and give some of my own personal examples, and then how we can overcome these methods of self sabotage. So, let's get started with the first method, which is resistance. Anytime that you feel resistance to do something, that is a form of self sabotage. It's almost like you're setting up this barrier and these excuses as to why you can't start on a project or follow something through to completion. You are putting this limiting belief, this resistance within your train of thought or within your advancement to progress, because something is telling you that you can't do it. And that is just not true. When it comes to self sabotage in general, the definition that Brianna gives, which I absolutely love, self sabotage is the conflict between the conscious and the subconscious. So it's between your knowing mind and your ego. And your ego loves to be comfortable. It doesn't want to start something new. It doesn't want to be an adventurous person and embark on all these new projects and run risks. It's really content with where it's at. So when we have resistance to something, that's your ego basically saying, please don't do this. I'm not down to start something new at the moment. I'm perfectly good with where we're at. But your conscious mind is like, I hate where we're at. I want to do something new. I need to change it up. I need to start that new project in order to see success or to grow my business or whatever the case may be. And that's where we have that conflict. So how do we overcome resistance? For me, it's personally just slowing down and realizing, where are these limiting beliefs or these resistant thoughts even coming from? For me personally, even putting this YouTube video together, I had a lot of resistance with, what tech do I use? What microphone do I get? What lighting do I get? Really silly and very trivial things that could be fixed. But that was my ego just saying, nope, you can't do it. Resistance. And needless to say, I found all of the appropriate technology platforms and the microphone and the lighting, and I got it done. And I have my YouTube channel now. So really think about, what is it that is generating this resistance? Write it down even, so that way your brain can comprehend exactly what is happening. And we know that this is just a made up belief and not a reality. The second self-sabotage tactic is hitting your upper limit. We all have ingrained in us this peak of the mountain of success. Once I make a 6-figure income, I've made it. I'm done. I'm good. But what happens when you make a 7-figure income? What happens when you start to exceed what you thought your potential was? Again, your ego is like, no, I'm not cool with that. I didn't expect this to happen. And then we have that conflict. And then we start to self-sabotage and think, well, I don't deserve that raise. I don't deserve this vacation. And we get into this space of feeling less than because we're overcoming our own goals. And that is amazing. And that is beautiful. But some people use this as a form of self-sabotage. But when you're hitting your upper limit, what I want you to do instead of thinking, my God, I feel so overwhelmed. I didn't expect this. Just realize that you are allowed to exceed your own expectations of yourself, and you are allowed to surprise yourself, even if it feels very foreign and it feels very bewildering. That's okay. And find comfort in that and actually celebrate it. Something that we don't do very often is we don't celebrate our successes and we don't celebrate these new milestones of achievement and accomplishment. So instead of thinking, my God, I surpassed, or, I don't deserve this. No, go out, celebrate, or even if you're not a big party person, just have a beautiful dinner, lunch, or even breakfast with someone that you love and just acknowledge that you have even surpassed your wildest dreams. The third is uprooting. When I read this one specifically in The Mountain Is You, I was like, I didn't know this was a form of self-sabotage because I do it pretty often. And I think when it comes to uprooting, well, what Brianna says that it is essentially is this constant change, this constant pursuing of a different project, changing your website all the time, taking multiple courses all the time. You're not seeing things to completion and you're not forming roots in your profession or in something that you desire. And I think for me, what it comes down to is I didn't see it as a form of self-sabotage until I really looked inward and I was like, yes, I can see how I am sabotaging because I'm not letting myself go to completion with a certain project. But at the same time, I wasn't passionate about what it was that I was doing. And that's why I was constantly looking for the next best thing. So, what I challenge you to do with uprooting, if that's something that you find yourself doing a lot of the time, is instead of just chucking something and then trying something new, really sit down with yourself and think, what is it that brings me joy? What do I feel very passionate about? What is something that I can do for the long term and that I want to build and grow and develop through my career or throughout my life and make meaning of it? And once you identify what that passion is, and it might not come to you in that one moment of just sitting down with yourself that one time. You might have to do this multiple times. But once you've decided and developed and understood what your passion is, then we can move forward and you won't even want to uproot anymore because you want to lay down the foundations. You want to see things through because you love what you're doing so much. The next is perfectionism. And again, this is me to a T, and have a very funny, silly story to share with you about perfectionism. I'm very thorough with what I'm posting, and I want everything to always be perfect. First of all, there's no such thing as perfect. What you think is good, someone else will think, that wasn't the best. So there's no such thing as perfect that exists in this world. But the story that I want to share with you all is about an Instagram video that made me go viral. And it was because I wasn't perfect in the video. So what the video was a breathing technique video where I blocked my right nostril and I said, breathe in and out through the left, and that activates your sympathetic nervous system. And then I blocked my left nostril and I said, breathe in and out through the right nostril, and that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. Needless to say, I filmed this video of me breathing multiple times. And I finally came to the point where I was getting very frustrated. I'm like, screw this. I'm just going to post my most recent video. So I watched it, made sure it was perfect, posted it. For some weird reason, and I honestly think the universe was trying to send me a message, the video flipped. So when I told people to breathe in and out through the right nostril, I was blocking my right nostril, or so it looked on the Instagram platform. And same with the left nostril. And everyone on Instagram had the audacity to tell me that I was doing it incorrectly. And I was getting pretty frustrated. I mean, the first comment that came through, I'm like, what is this person talking about? Like, I did it fine. Like, I did it. I watched this video over and over and over again. I did multiple filmings of it. Like, it's good. And then another person commented, and I was writing back to them like, no, okay, it's flipped. The video's flipped. And I kept writing that, and people kept responding. And my numbers for following increased, went from a couple hundred to reaching over 120,000 follows. And it blew my mind. It was so fun watching my Instagram blow up over something that was not perfect and that I was so ashamed about when it first was released. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it because I told myself I would, to realizing that it was literally growing my success. So my message to you here is just do it. If it's not perfect, just post it. There's no such thing as perfect. And you know what? If someone doesn't like something, that's their problem, not your problem. So just let it go. Leave it alone. You've done what you need to do. Now be ethical about what you're doing, of course, but it doesn't need to be like so perfect. And that is another form of self-sabotage, is perfectionism. So we don't want to be perfect. We just want to get things done and do them well, right? Let's go to the next one. The next one is limited emotional processing skills. So what does this even mean? Well, when something happens in your business, let's say usually something low vibration, so like you got really sad over something, you got really frustrated, you dwell in that emotion and you don't really let go of it. And you dwelling and living in that low frequency is a form of self. And if you're going to continue to dwell in low frequency, you can't expect to be sad and deliver content. You can't expect yourself to be frustrated and yet be successful for your clients and give them the results that they want from. So it really comes down to understanding that you feel a certain way, but then releasing it and not dwelling in it. Give yourself like a good 5 minutes to dwell, but don't let that vibration take away your power and completely sabotage what it is that you're doing. Remember, we don't like self-sabotage. We don't want to be in a state of self-sabotage, and that means understanding how to process our emotions. So instead, what I can recommend that you do is journal about it, talk about it. I used to make video voice notes every single morning during the pandemic because I was going through a really hard time and it was bringing down my mood quite a bit. And once I started doing video notes, it helped me so much to overcome a lot of the low frequency vibrations that I was feeling. And it started to make my spirits feel a little more lifted. Or even words of affirmation. You know your worth. You know what you do every single time you finish a project or work with a client. So remind yourself that you are doing the best that you can. You don't need to live in a low frequency state. The next one is justification. This is always having to justify to yourself that it's fine. You've done everything. It's fine. When really, did you? Did you do everything? You know, did you reach out to that one person today? Did you do that video that you promised yourself you were going to do? Now, there's a difference between overworking and justifying for sure. If you are like, oh my God, I've done so much today, and you really have, then give yourself a pat on the back and just relax. But if you did one thing and you're going to justify that to yourself and you're going to let your ego tell you like, I'm good, I'm comfortable with just doing one thing, then you're a form of self-sabotage. Really, what you got to do is just listen to your inner voice, write down a checklist and say, okay, you know what? I know that I have to do A, B, C, D, and E today, and those pretty standard tasks. I can get it done. I'm setting myself up for success, and these are realistic. When you do one thing, don't justify that you did one thing of the list and then call it a day. No, do everything and get yourself into a framework of trusting yourself by telling yourself that you're going to do everything and it will get. The next one is disorganization. This is a huge one because how your environment is in the external world is a reflection of your internal world. So if you are chronically disorganized, chronically running late because you're disorganized with your time, then that's not really amazing for your success. That is a form of self-sabotage. So what I recommend you do is wherever you are working, Make it your little sanctuary. Make it this beautiful place that you always want to be when you need to be there. And it's clean and orderly and everything just makes sense. And that will help your brain to think so clearly and to allow the flow of ideas to be so effortless and for you to get things done. The next one is attachment to what you really don't want. Success looks very different for many, many people. For some people, it's financial success. For some people, it's the ability to travel. For some people, it's having a family. Success is completely, completely different. And what we need to remember with success is that because it looks so different, you cannot compare your success to someone else's success. But you don't want to get attached to what other people's success is and make that your definition, because then that's not your success and you will never be happy and you will never feel successful when you've achieved it. So really think about what it is that you want to succeed in your new business, in your family life, in your finances. Think about it and think about it really, really hard. I always encourage to write things down, because when you write things down, it becomes real and then you are more likely to achieve it. So write it down and then realize, okay, this is my version of success and no one can take that from me and no one can change it except me. So really sit with that and really be with what success means to you. The next one is judging others. They say comparison is the thief of joy. And when you judge others, you are robbing yourself of your own happiness. You're also getting yourself in other people's business by judging them and what they're doing, and you're not minding your own business. So just stop critiquing other people and what they're doing. If anything, admire what they're, and then just focus on yourself. If you are truly, truly happy with what you're doing, you won't care what other people are doing and you won't have time to judge them and to put them down because you're too busy being successful and doing what you want to do. So stop judging other people. The next one is pride. With pride, this is one of the 7 deadly sins. And it's when you have this arrogance towards life where you're too high and mighty to want to learn anything new, do anything different. It's like you're stuck on your little pedestal, but as other people start climbing and as other people start doing things that even you wanted to do, you're just stuck in your own way. And what I usually say, and a rule that I usually live by, is if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I always learn so much from so many people, and I have to put my pride aside and listen to what others have to say and hear what they want to teach me and what the universe is sending my way so I can develop and be a better person in general. So when you have so much pride, you're shutting that down and you're not open to what others have to say. You're not opening up your mind to new learning and new thought. The next one is guilt of succeeding. So we did talk about what success looks like for you and for many other people, and we have to have our own definition of success. But the guilt of being successful is very real, but it's also a form of self-sabotage because, again, people start to feel really guilty when they start to become very accomplished and they start to hit their goals. And it's usually because other people around them aren't hitting their goal. It could be for multiple reasons, but really when you've succeeded, like I mentioned before, go celebrate your success. Don't hold it in. Don't resent it. Don't feel guilty for it, because really at the end of the day, you've earned it. You've put in so much work to get to where you are now. There should be no feelings of guilt unless you've done it unethically. Then I'll say, yeah, feel guilty. But if you've done everything right and according to your standards, then there should be no reason to be guilty for achieving success. So again, write it down. Write down how much you love yourself and how successful you feel and how amazing you are. Maybe write down your next goal that you want to accomplish, and then go out and celebrate your success and don't feel guilty for it. Just enjoy it and bask in it. The next one is fear of failing. And this one is a huge one for me. I have, for some reason, ingrained in my brain that I will fail. And it is the saddest belief that I have about myself. And I've had to spend multiple hours, which probably will equate to days, reprogramming this. And one thing that I've reprogrammed in my brain about failure is that there is no such thing. There is no such thing as failing. It's only a learned opportunity. Think about it. When you lost money in your business, you didn't fail, but you're learning how to revamp your business so you can grow in your sales and you can be more profitable. If you let the failure or the idea of failure consume you, you are going to self-sabotage yourself, your business, your relationships with yourself and with others around. So what I would recommend you do instead of thinking, oh, I failed, let's take this as a learning opportunity. And some learning opportunities are really hard to swallow because they're huge learning opportunities. But needless to say, if you take it in a approach of learning, you will succeed and you will overcome it and you won't be in a mindset of self-sabotage. So keep that in mind. It's not a failure, it's a learned opportunity. The next one is downplaying. I've done this before, and a lot of people tell me, wow, you should be so proud of yourself. You have a clinic, you have so many patients, you're doing podcasts, you're on social media all the time. And for a long time, I've really downplayed it. I'm like, oh yeah, like, it's just what I do. It's a lot of work, but I'm doing it. No, if anything, just like, wow, thank you. Yeah, I know. I do spend a lot of time on it. I'm really enjoying every moment of it because I really am. I love seeing my patients. I love treating them. Don't downplay what you're doing because other people are praising you for it. Don't downplay it because other people are complimenting you. Take the compliment. Be so proud of yourself that you have nothing to say but words of agreement in what they are giving you to your success or to your endeavors in your business. We have 4 more. The next one is unhealthy habits. This is one that I talk about a lot with my clients and with my patients in both functional health and in chiropractic. And really, when we are not healthy, when we are not feeding our body with healthy foods, when we are not exercising, when we don't think healthy thoughts, these are a form of self-sabotage. A flower cannot grow in soil that has been poisoned. It will die. It's inevitable. So how do you expect your mind, your body, and your spirit to thrive in an environment where it's toxic and it's unhealthy? Treat your body with respect, and you will see that given back to you in whatever you're doing. You have to nurture your body, your mind, and your spirit. You cannot keep things unhealthy because that is only going to wear away at you. Take care of yourself, time in your schedule to take that moment for exercise, even if it's just a 20-minute walk every day. Eat healthy, meal prep, go grocery shopping. If you're rich enough, get yourself a cook so they can cook you foods. It can be done. You just have to make time for it, and that will ultimately lead you to be more successful and to love yourself even more because you're taking care of yourself. So stop being unhealthy and having unhealthy habits. It's a form of self-sabotage. The next one is being busy. I've stopped using the word. When we start using that word busy, I want you to really think about what comes to mind and what comes to body. Whenever I think of the word busy, I usually feel very flustered. I usually feel like very tight in my chest because I'm like, oh my God, I just have like so much to do today. I feel very overwhelmed. I really don't know where to begin. But I want us to stop right there in using that word because that's a form of self-sabotage. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you don't know where to start because you're busy, you're really setting yourself up to not even start anything because your brain is just so overwhelmed. So what I recommend you do, and what I've done, and for 2 years now I've been using it, is a journal or like an agenda. And that has been a game changer because I get to see my calendar, my schedule really as what it is. And there's no stories that I'm making up. I'm not busy because I can find time in my planner to do something, even if it is to take a 20-minute nap. And I can be successful and I can achieve what I want to achieve because I'm no longer filling my brain with the word busy. So change your language and how you talk to yourself and the words that you use because they are very powerful. And instead of saying I'm busy, I have a very full day. Because when you're full, when you eat, you still have a little bit of room for dessert at the end of a meal, right? Same thing with your schedule. It could be full, but you could squeeze something else in there. So let's try and change the language of busy to something else. And I like the word full. Next, we're going to do spending time with the wrong people. They say that you are an average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. And I highly recommend that you choose those 5 people very wisely. If you are going to surround yourself with people who are always complaining, they don't have a lot of goals, and they don't set a lot of expectations towards themselves, and you're the one person that does, they're probably going to bring you down with them. But if you are surrounding yourself with people who are always hitting their goals, they're always exceeding expectations, they're always getting things done, they are spending quality time with themselves and family and friends, you're probably going to want to do that too. And you're going to want to be like those other 5 people in your circle are. Whoever you're spending time with right now, just look at who they are and really ask yourself, does this person or do these group of people contribute to my ultimate success and my ultimate happiness? And if the answer is no, well, then reach out, go to different communities, meet new people, belong to other groups. Don't just limit yourself to one group or to one class of people. Go out, meet people. People are always, always looking for connection. It's literally ingrained in our DNA. We release a lot of beautiful serotonin when we meet people and have social connections because it makes us feel good to be around other people. So go and talk to someone. Go join a social club. Go join some Facebook groups and meet up with them in communities where they do public meetups. Go meet new people and surround yourself with people who are going to uplift you and support you in everything that you're doing. The last one, we've reached it. It's worrying about irrational fears and the least likely circumstances. This is what I call the what ifs. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if, what if? Yeah, what if you get to be really successful and you get to accomplish all of your goals and all of your dreams? How would that feel? And usually we are very worried about the future because our brain is designed like that. Our brain is designed for survival. So we are always thinking the first thought in a lower frequency way. We're always thinking, oh my gosh, well, if it rains, well, what if the roof leaks? What if my flowers get watered today so I don't have to go outside and water the flowers? So it's all about how you think about things. And when you are caught in this state of worry, then you are usually caught in a state of lack. And what I mean by that is feeling like you are never enough because you're constantly worrying about something that is hypothetical and might not happen. So always think of the best case scenario. Stop identifying your thoughts with the thought of worry. And if you have to have a what if thought, then what if you are successful? What if something really amazing happens out of this? And I want you to start to change your thoughts so they are of a higher vibration and they fuel you instead of taking energy away from you. I hope you enjoyed these 17 possible characteristics that you could be embodying for self-sabotage. Remember, self-sabotage is that conflict between your conscious and your subconscious or your ego. We will always encounter it, but how we choose to react to a state of self-sabotage can either make you or break you. So don't let yourself become engulfed in any of these tactics of self-sabotage. Really think things through. Plan your days out properly and set realistic expectations for yourself so you don't crush your self-confidence and self-trust by not completing something someday and then you go into a cycle of self-sabotage. You are amazing. You are doing amazing. So continue to be just who you are and listen to that beautiful inner voice inside of you, guiding you throughout your journey towards living your best quality of life. I'll see you at the next episode.